Yeah.
I teach you, I want a funny little anecdote to make you smile about how things were at Southgate.
Right.
I've got to take you back to the year 1918.
1918. Okay.
It was at the end of the First World War, and I'd got scarlet fever, and in those days you had to go off to the isolation hospital and stay there for 7 weeks.
Right.
Because, you know, you were away from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the girls' ward, and gradually there was only me left. And the time was November 1918, at the time of the armistice. And in the boys' ward, there was one boy, Campbell somebody. I don't know his surname. But anyway, in the lunchtime, the nurse would go off to get her lunch. So he was in his ward and I was in mine. There was a nurse's room in between with a fire.
Right.
One of those very old-fashioned furnaces.
Mm.
And he came in one day, he said, "Do you like your rice pudding?" It was awful stuff. He had it every day. And it was a huge wodge on the plate, and you had a tiny bit of jam like that, you know. So he said, "Do you eat yours?" I said, "Only that part, and I leave the rest." So he said, "Well, I get rid of mine."
Oh.
So I said, "How?" So he said, "Come with me." So I go along in my nightie and with a plate, and he said, "You simply put it in there," which was the stove.
Okay.
So we got rid of it.
So rice pudding was
So that was so awful. Anyway, that was part one, and I knew he went to Southgate County Schools, it was called then, and I didn't know it, but he was a prefect, you see. And I said, "Oh, I'm going to take the exam in January, and I hope I shall go there, you see." And history went on, and of course I did. And I lived in Derwent Road, which was a road very close to the school.
Derwent, I think I recognise that site.
Yes, and if you went down a little bit, very little way, there was the boys' entrance, and you go through the school garden. It cut off about 2 yards. Otherwise, you went up into the girls' entrance at right angles. So I often used to hop in the boys' entrance gate and then, you know, turn left. And one day I was doing that very thing when Campbell also was crossing the road, and I gave him a radiant smile. And said, "Hello, Campbell," and he looked at me and I realised that a junior never speaks to a prefect unless he or she speaks first.
That's very
And
different.
it was finished. That was my first romance. It was ended in no time at all.
Really? Because of one?
Yes, I shouldn't have spoken.
Wow, it's so different, isn't it? I don't have any kind of not being able to speak to. Wow. But
So there you are. You learn a lot.
I know that really does kind of set the scene for your life. But
Yeah.
well, I really thank you for your time this morning. You've been really insightful to me and everyone else that's watching. So thank you very
I'm glad
much.
it has helped you on your way. Are you going to continue to do things of this sort? You know, we talk about rice puddings in the fire or something.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh dear. What a wrong thing to do.
It amazes me, really. Seriously.
Rotten, wasn't it?
Yeah. So,
Never mind. I perked up.
so yeah, I have these pictures here. Of do you know when this one was taken?
Do I know when?
Yeah. Do you have any clue? I mean,
See, I mean, I suppose it would be 1925.
right.
I should think it would be, you know, in my last year.
Mhm.
I know why it was. It's come to me now. You see, I had a long plait.
Right.
It actually went sort of quite a long
Oh,
way down.
yeah.
And it was just getting fashionable to have the hair cut, bobbed or shingled, and I wanted to have mine done like everybody else. And my mother and father thought they must have a picture of me with my plait.
Mhm.
So it was on their behest that I had this done so that they remembered me as a schoolgirl with long hair.
Okay. So did you...
I think I went to a studio,
Oh, okay.
yes,
Oh, that's something.
in Palmer's Green called Camera Croft.
Wow, how do you remember that? It's
Yes.
amazing.
And, well, I have reason to believe it because my boyfriend at the time had a young brother who was apprenticed to the chap who opened Camera Craft.
Right.
And he, the opener chap, used to go to St John's Church, which was the church that we all went to. And in those days, of course, everybody was a church goer. It was just how we all went on. And I don't know whether it still goes on, but we always had assembly and a short service. Do you see?
In my primary school, I went to a Church of England primary school.
Yes.
So we'd have church services within school.
Yes.
Every Friday, actually, we'd have a vicar come in from the local
I
church.
see. Yes.
And we'd often go off to the
Yes.
church every now and then.
Yes.
About once a month, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that was...
So you...
It's very different again, isn't it,
Yes,
compared
of
to
course.
today?
And of course, because of all the different nationalities, it's not possible anymore, is it? Really, I suppose.
No,
You see,
so many different religions as well.
yes.
Within.
When I went, the only people who were not Christian were Jewish
people.
and there were just a few,
Mm.
and they just arrived at 9:15 when the service was over.
Right.
You know, it was not made anything of, but if you were Jewish, well, you didn't want to go, so come late.
Right.
But of course now you've got have you?
Sorry?
Multi-religions now?
Yeah, multi-ethnic, very
Yes.
much so, but it's nice in its own right. It's
Yes.
it's nice to have
course.
such a variety of people in your
Yes, of
school.
course it is.
And a variety
Because
of people
that's the world you're growing up in, isn't
yeah,
it? Yes.
and there are parts of your society that I'd love to go back to, as in, what was there, like, being able to have a conversation with a stranger on the bus?
Yes.
Such a lovely, simplistic thing.
Yes, it was. It was
kind of thing.
Yes, it was easy, and we'd got out of the way. I know when later on in life I had a friend who married and lived in Paris. Her husband had an Englishman, but he had a job in Paris.
Right.
And I sometimes went to visit her. Incidentally, it was quite by the way, the second time I went, I flew from Croydon.
Right.
And it was as though I was a person out of this world, that I'd taken a short holiday and flown, and it was so unusual.
Right, but was
Now,
that one of the
nobody
first
thinks.
flights?
But I digress, because what I was going to say about living in Paris, you'd go along a road and everybody said bonjour, whether you knew them or not. You know, you never passed anybody and said nothing.
Yeah.
It's bonjour madame sometimes, bonjour mademoiselle,
Did you-
and it
did
was all very matey. When I got back to England, I thought, it is nice, so I started saying hello to people, and of
Yeah.
course that was not a good thing.
Really? So different.
So, you know, it was, we were already a bit standoffish, I think.
Did you learn French while you were living in France?
Well, yes, I was always keen on French at
Right.
school, and I managed to scrape a distinction in French.
Wow.
So it improved when I used to go on these holidays, of course, and but then I no longer went, and like everything else, if you don't use it, it goes, doesn't it?
Well, sorry, if you could tell me
Yes.
again about this picture that we have here.
Yes.
So you say it was at the end of a year,
yes.
right? And was this your PE kit or?
Oh yes, you'll die when you know what we had to wear. Long black stockings, woolen stockings,
That must
middle
have
of the
been quite
summer,
uncomfortable.
wool. There's a navy blue
Mhm.
gym dresses, they were box pleated affairs.
Right.
And you had a white blouse. In the summer you could have a cotton blouse.
Okay.
Great concession. In the winter it was a warmer sort of stuff.
Right.
But
So, was this after a sporting event or?
yes, it was the end of the sports day of July 1925.
Sports day, brilliant. What were
Yeah.
you doing? Do you remember? Can you remember what
Yes, I'd
event you-
been running for the
Right.
house and something else, but I was never, I was an also-ran.
Mm.
I was never among the first three.
Oh, that's a shame. But
Very eager.
well, you look.
I think I was made captain because I was quite well liked or something like that.
Very popular.
And so that wasn't brilliant. I was sort of an all-rounder,
Mm. Yeah.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave school at all.
Brilliant. Well, that's the best attitude to have. But yeah, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I hope I haven't kept you too long.
Kept me too long. I'm more worried about yourself. Are you okay?